Hello Google Analytics users, how are you doing today? In this chapter, let's take a look at the funnel exploration reports in Google Analytics 4, and we'll have a lot of concepts and a lot of new techniques that you'll learn in this chapter. So let's get started. So what are funnels? Funnels are steps in your website that you expect your users to execute, and it may definitely have some value behind the execution of these steps, right? So for example, if you are on an e-commerce website, you would have these steps like people viewing the products and then adding the products to the cart and then going for a checkout and then making a purchase, right? So these are step-by-step sequences where you expect users to follow one after one, and it generally leads to a definite goal or a definite target. There could be different kinds of steps. For example, if you are a software subscription business and you want your users to subscribe to your product, you would have a funnel that would look like users visiting to the homepage of the website, then going for a trial maybe, and then after 1 month you would want to see that whether these users are moving from the trial phase to a purchase phase or not, right? That's a very logical way to go about it, and that has got the monetary value attached to it. So definitely funnels are a very important part of any business, and it kind of makes or breaks the deal because it gives you the clarity and the transparency that where the users are actually dropping off, right? So if a user is coming to the product views and then adding the product to the cart but never going to check out, right? Or only a small percentage of users are going to check out, which means that there is a problem with the checkout step. People are going to add to cart, but why are they not checking out? So you have got a very targeted area to look at. Okay, so that's the benefit of using funnels. Okay, so let's take some more concepts before we move forward and create some funnel reports in our Google Analytics 4 accounts. All right, so back to our screen. I have taken this example where funnel steps are A, B, C, D, E. So each step is an action by the user. For example, in e-commerce, if it was a product view, that would be a step maybe A or B, and then there would be a add to cart, that would be step C, and so on, right? So you get the idea. So there are 5 such steps, for example, and there are 5 such users, okay, who are visiting this website. Now let's see a scenario. We'll talk about this open funnel later, but let's see this scenario, okay, where there is step A, then step B, C, D, E, and obviously more people would enter the step A, and then only a percentage of that user group would go to step B, and of that some will go to step C, and so on, right? Now we have got all these 5 steps, and we have got these users 1 2 3 4 5, and you can see that user 1 has gone through all the 5 steps, right? There is a tick for all of them. And then user 2 started in step B. Now it's not necessary that users have to start from step A. Users may enter step B as well, right? So 2 did the same. They started from step B and they went to C, D, and then the user dropped from there. They did this user 2 did not go to step D. Okay. And then there is a user 3 who started at A, skipped the part B. Okay, when that's possible in some websites, went to C, skipped D again, and went to E. Okay, user 4 only entered the C step and never moved from there. And then user 5 started from A, went to B, and then C, and then dropped from there. Okay. Now, if we were to work with Google Analytics 4, there are 2 options we can use. One of them is called the open funnel, and one of them is the closed funnel, right? So if a funnel is closed funnel, and you can configure that. So if a funnel is closed funnel, unless the user starts from the step A, they will not be counted. Okay, remember this rule. Unless the user starts from the step A, the very first step that you have defined in the funnel, they will not be counted in the entire journey. While in the open funnel that we are seeing over here, if a user enters the funnel from B and moves forward, the user will be counted in calculating the funnel strength. Okay. Now, there is another rule that you have to remember. If a user skips a step over here, just like the user 3 has done, these users will be only counted for the steps that they have done in continuation. Okay, which means that user 3 will be only counted in step A, but will be skipped in step C and E. Whether it's an open funnel or not, this behavior will be continued in Google Analytics 4. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, let's see if it is an open funnel. In step A, how many users will be counted over here? So user 1 will be counted, user 3 will be counted, and user 5 will be counted. So here we'll get a total of 3 users in A. And now we are talking about an open funnel, right? In B, user 1 will be counted, user 2 will be counted, and user 5 will be counted, right? So there are 3 again. Okay. Now in step C, user 1 will be counted, 2 will be counted, 3 will not be counted. Remember, they have skipped the step, so they will not be counted. And 4 will be counted and 5 will be counted. So there are a total of 5, right? And you would say that, okay, looks like this funnel is not really a typical pyramidal shape, right? It looks like there are 3 and then 5. Yes, it's possible in open funnels. Okay, it's possible that the step after the initial steps would have more population, more visitors, more users who have executed that. That's possible. Okay, we'll see how it works in closed funnel. Now in D, there will be 1 and 2 users, right? 2. And in E, there will be 1. This will again not be counted because there has been 2 gaps over here, right? So 1. So 3, 3, 5, 2, 1. This is our funnel for this situation, right? What if it was a closed funnel? Okay, it's the same scenario. Everything is simple. Only thing is, if we change the setting to closed, what happens? Let's see that. So in step A, user 1 will be counted, user 3 will be counted, and user 5 will be counted. So this is 3. In step B, user 1 will be counted, user 2 will not be counted because they have not started in the step A. That's the difference between closed funnel and open funnels, right? And user 5 will be counted over here, so it becomes 2. In step C, user 1 will be counted, user 2 will not be counted, user 3 will not be counted, right? Again, there is a gap, right? User 4 will also be not counted because it's similar to 2. They started somewhere in between, and user 5 will be counted. So this becomes 2 again. And in the step D, user 1 will be counted. This is not going to be counted. So it's 1. Again, the reason is same because 2 has been completely eliminated by not entering here, right? And then in step E, user 1 will be counted and 3 will not be counted. So it's 1, right? So the funnel will look like this. You get the idea, right? So if you are to take a percentage of this, and okay, one more thing is that this will now look like a pyramid, isn't it? It's starting at a higher point and then decreasing or equal and then decreasing and equal again. So it's like a pyramid, right? More data feeds in, it will become like a perfect pyramid probably. Okay. Only thing is that you don't want is that pyramid should not be too skewed. Okay, which means that people are falling through. We'll see that and we'll understand what that means. So you could also deal with the percentages over here. Okay, so in the start of this whole website, probably there were 5 users who entered, but when the funnel started, there were 3 users. 3 users become 100% of all our users, right? And then here 2 users came in. So 2 by 3 into 100. So now you can find the percentage over here. It's about 66.6%, right? And so on. You can calculate it here as well, 66.6%. And here it will be 33.3% and so on, right? So you get the idea. So that's how funnel percentage can also be calculated. And now if we go to those reports in Google Analytics 4, it would be a breeze because we have already understood the concepts, and you will see how easily we can understand those reports. Okay, so in the next chapter, let's go to Google Analytics 4 report and see how things work over there. Okay, so I'll see you there. Thank you.